All right, happy Friday, guys. Live stream should be starting up now. We got some news to go over. Obviously, we just got some pretty big news that will change the slate in Kyle Lowry out. Basically flips the slate upside down. But yeah, if you guys are new to the stream, new to the channel, how it works is we'll take a look at what we know so far. We'll take a look at the Vegas odds. I'm gonna go team by team, kind of talk about the players I'm looking for, and then get to questions at the end. So let me refresh this. Let me go back to the beginning of the day. We can start with that. Hope you guys are having a good Friday so far. Excited to close out the week on a strong note here. Hopefully no blowouts because that was a really tilting night last night. Just for a second, I just got to talk about Minnesota, man. So I stack them against Washington a week ago in a fantastic matchup. It's like a 1-point spread. That game blows out. Avoid them against Denver, a much tougher matchup. Higher spread too, more likely for blowout. Jokic is chalk in both those games. The game stays close. Stack the Minnesota-Portland game, all at low ownership. Lillard, 15 to 20% owned. Nurkic, 15%. The guards from Minnesota really low owned. And the game blows out. Lillard had 70 and 3/4. Nurkic had 30 and 3/4. Just oh man, frustrating. But all right, let's talk about what we know so far. So Westbrook is playing. We have all those Celtics guys are out, all the front court at least with Thompson and Robert Williams and Grant Williams. So they are going to be pretty thin in the front court. We have Aaron Gordon ruled out for the Magic. Kyrie is out. Let's see. Some of this stuff is, we got the Lakers guys questionable again. I mean, I assume they play. They basically, LeBron has been questionable every single slate. AD was questionable last game and he still played, so I assume they're full go. Jeff Teague's playing. Andrew Wiggins now questionable too, so that's something to keep an eye on. The big news, obviously, Kyle Lowry gets ruled out. That does change a decent amount here on the slate. That's what we got so far. So let's take a look at the Vegas numbers here. So we have Suns and Pistons is a 216 over under. The Suns are 8-point favorites. Hornets and Pelicans a 218 over under. The Pelicans are 7-point favorites. Thunder and Knicks a 211.5 over under. The Knicks are 2.5-point favorites. Wizards and Celtics a 237 over under. The Celtics are 4.5-point favorites. Nets and Grizzlies is a 218 over under. The Grizzlies are 1-point favorites. Magic Rockets a 221.5 over under. The Rockets are 6-point favorites. And Jazz and Bucks a 232 over under. The Bucks are 5.5-point favorites. And with the Bulls, Lakers a 221.5 over under. Lakers are 8.5-point favorites. All right, so let's talk about Phoenix and Detroit. And this one will be pretty quick. Not a ton of interest in either side for me. Booker seems about right. Same with Ayton and Paul. No one's playing huge minutes. The wings, they have too many in Bridges, Crowder, Sarge, and Johnson. So pretty simple. Nothing on Phoenix. On Detroit, nothing either. Jeremy Grant, 7K, about right. Blake Griffin seems disinterested this year. Sure, price is down. I'm not going there in this slate. Derrick Rose is playing. Josh Jackson's playing. Can we still tilt about this? 43 fantasy points in 24 minutes. When we all play him, when Blake Griffin's out, 31 minutes, 13 fantasy points. All right, but yeah, this is just a game I don't want interest in. On the Washington side, let's move on. Westbrook at 10-4. I think it's one of the better spend ups of the slate. There's a decent amount of value opening up. He should play about 40 minutes. Sure, the matchup is not necessarily the best, but he's just getting a ton of shots up. He's stuffing the stat sheet, so he's going to average close to a double or a triple-double this season if he continues this pace. So I think Russ Westbrook is a really nice play there at the top. Brad Beal's a guy I personally will look elsewhere from. He shot the ball really well. Shot the ball 35 times too. So I just prefer the floor in Westbrook to Beal. Now if you want to chase the Beal game, go for it. But again, price up, not the best matchup. I would rather play Westbrook. Thomas Bryant seems priced about right, and the wings, everyone else's secondary plays, just kind of stayaways. Bertans at 4.9, he can get hot behind the 3-point line, but I just don't think we have to do it on this one. Now, on the Boston side, it's a little bit more interesting, right? Because there's a lot of guys out. So, Tatum and Brown at the top look pretty good in a really good matchup. Don't mind Marcus Smart at 6'3", but probably not a priority for me. Jeff Teague is back, which kind of hurts Peyton Pritchard. So, more secondary plays. They're really the guy one of the guys that stands out is Daniel Tice, just because they're so thin in the front court. So, Tice should start. He should play over 30 minutes if he can stay out of foul trouble. I think he looks like a really solid value play. Again, Grant Williams, Robert Williams, Thompson all out. So, they're going to be pretty thin in the front court. Could it be Could it be taco season? I don't know, but he's a really good point per minute guy. And if we get like 15 plus minutes from Taco Fall, he could crush. So realistically, I think he's actually worth the dart throw in GPPs. You can make the argument for Semi, but for me, like Semi will play more minutes, Semi Ojeleye. I would rather take the shot on Taco and hope he gets extended a bit just because he's such a good point per minute guy. Semi Ojeleye is like a 0.5 point per minute guy. So yeah, would prefer Taco there if I'm going to take a shot on one of those like really cheap guys. But yeah, it's Tice, it's the guys at the top, and then possibly a dart throw there in GPPs with those value guys. Charlotte, New Orleans, not a ton that I like on the Charlotte side. Hayward priced up into the big game. Lamel's at 6'5". It is, playing against his brother if you're into that narrative. Minutes have been a little up and down, but he's been their best player, recently. Rozier, Devontae Graham, again, probably one of them will have a decent game. They've been both shooting the ball terribly. PJ Washington's, I think, the guy that looks the best. He played 38 minutes the last game. He's a guy who can stuff the stat sheet. If he can stay out of foul trouble, I think he plays, 30-plus minutes. So Washington's the guy in the mid-range I think I have some exposure to. No thank you on Biyombo, who did not close out last game. We move on to the Pelicans. So Pelicans, Ingram, Zion, I think both look pretty good in a good matchup here. Both should play 35-plus minutes. Like them both, to be honest. Lonzo, going up with his brother if you're into that narrative, but it's not really for me on this slate. Same thing with Bledsoe. They take turns having good games. I don't really want to go to that in that slate. Adams is a good cash game play. He showed a little bit of upside at a triple-double. That's definitely an anomaly. And then J.J. Redick is playing, so it kind of hurts NAW. Don't think we can go there, or, unless you're trying to get really risky. Yeah, but JJ is probable. That's really there for the Pelicans side. So let's move on real quick, though, before we go on to the next game. If you guys do enjoy this content, would really appreciate it if you can hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Helps me out a ton. All right. So let's move on to OKC, New York. So on the OKC side, SGA's at 7-8. I think it's a decent play here. But with their, opening up some plays more in the mid-range now with those like other Raptors guys, is he a necessity? Probably not, but I think he's a still fine contrarian play at that price. Baisley's a guy I think is interesting here at 6'2". He's been shooting the ball a ton. He shot the ball 20 times the last game. Good matchup. He should play over 30 minutes. He's a guy that's rebounding the ball really well too, 12, 8, and 12 rebounds. So Baisley I think is a decent play in the mid-range. I don't even hate buying low on Al Horford. I think he plays 26 to 30 minutes, somewhere in that range. And 5'4" is a cheap enough price where I think he could have some upside. He really hasn't had a good shooting game. 1 of 6, 3 out of 11. That game against New Orleans, he did. He shot 7 of 9, but that game blew out. He had 30 in limited minutes. So, yeah, I think you could make the argument to buy low on Horford. But that's it for the OKC side. Let's move on to New York. So New York is a team that's going to be pretty thin for like the 5th straight time. Randall at 9'8" should play over 40 minutes. I know it seems like a lot, but I still think he's actually a viable play there at the top. RJ Barrett's fine, but a little bit more reliant on the scoring. Alfred Payton at 6'5". Minutes are up and down. If I knew he was going to play close to high 30s minutes, I would like him a good amount. But they're just up and down. 23, 34, 29, 42. So hard to feel confident in that. More of a GPP play. Mitchell Robinson did play over 40 minutes the last game. I think we're still waiting on Nerlens Noel status. Upgraded to probable. Okay, so I don't think Mitchell Robinson will play as much. I don't think Taj is available yet either. Again, they signed Taj Gibson. So yeah, now Mitchell Robinson's the guy I'll probably avoid with Nerlens Noel there. As far as the value, I'm going to go like Bullock with Austin Rivers. Rivers played decent minutes. Is he a necessity on the slate? Probably not. Bullock at 4-1, again, same thing. Okay value plays, but I don't know if these guys are priorities. Orlando, Houston, let's do it. So Orlando's a team that's really thin. No Aaron Gordon, no MCW, no Markelle Fultz. Evan Fournier, we're still waiting on news. If they're all out, you got to like Vucevic at the top, and a great matchup here at 9K. I think he looks like one of the better spend-ups of the slate. Also really like Cole Anthony. He's going to start at point guard. Should play over 30 minutes. Sure, he struggled the last game. Doesn't worry me a ton. Again, good matchup, plus the fact that they're really thin. I think you can definitely make the argument for Terrence Ross, too, in GPPs. He should play over 30 minutes. He should shoot the ball a ton. Now, is somewhat reliant on the scoring, but when he's getting it going, he has 40-plus fantasy point upside. As far as the value guys, like maybe Bacon if Fournier's out. And then they have like Clark. They have Kem Birch. You can take shots on these guys. Birch might play a little bit alongside Vucevic. I think he's an okay punt play. Going to be interesting to see what else they do, like who else they insert here into the rotation. Like James Ennis is healthy. How many minutes does he play? Right, he played 16 the last game, so he might get some decent run. Maybe a punt play there. But really, it's the main guys in like Vooch, in Cole Anthony, and a guy like Terrence Ross. On the Houston side, I believe we're still waiting on Boogie Cousins. We can refresh this though. Let's see. Yeah, Noel probable or available to play. Okay, we're still waiting on Houston news. So Harden's more of a secondary play there at 11K. John Wall at 8K. Price is coming up. Still think he's more of an 8.5 to 9K player, so I don't hate buying in there on John Wall at 8K. Christian Wood's the big news. If he is out, I think Boogie looks like a really good play there in the mid-range. Should play over 20 minutes, and a great point per minute guy if he can not stay out of foul trouble and if he can not get ejected, because those are really realistic things with Boogie Cousins we got to consider. Christian Wood himself, if he does play, wouldn't really be a priority for me. Would rather get to Vucevic on the opposite side for a little bit more. Value, no thank you on this slate on Brooklyn, Memphis. So still no Kyrie, still no KD. It's going to be the Karis LeVert season at 7-4. I think he looks like one of the better plays in the mid-range. Going to shoot the ball a ton, shot the ball 25 times. Offense is going to run through him. Great matchup. He looks like one of the best plays of the slate. Jared Allen, DeAndre Jordan going to split the Sun minutes. Now, Allen has been playing more recently, played 28 and 32 minutes, so I think he's an okay option. Decent matchup, not a priority for me. Joe Harris had a really good shooting game. I think people might chase. I don't think he's the worst play. I think he probably plays around 30 minutes off the bench, a good shooter. But if he's not hitting his shots, it's a somewhat low floor. So, yeah, Joe Harris is a decent play, not a priority. Again, I think people might chase it. And then the value, you guys know how I feel about the value. Hard to trust any of these guys. And Bruce Brown and TLC, Jeff Green, Taurean Prince. I mean, you can go here, but I don't know if we have to on the slate. Like last slate, we were thin for value, so we kind of had to consider these guys. Do we have to go here in the slate? I don't know. I think these guys probably play somewhere between like 20 to high 20s minutes. Somewhere in that range with Prince, Green, TLC, Bruce Brown. You can take shots on those guys if you want to. Chiozo was a somewhat popular play off the bench. He played 16 minutes, and he's a decent point per minute guy, but only 16 is a little bit worrisome. And you can punt with him, but it's hard to feel great about that too. So that's it for Brooklyn. On the Memphis side, this will be really quick. There's basically nothing I have interest in. The reason being, starters not playing big minutes. Anderson, 29 and 28 minutes in close games. Basically, him with Brooks and Valanciunas. I'll pass. Bench guys, there's only going to go there. Jane got priced up. I think Clark would probably be the guy I would like the most here at 5'6". But we have to ask yourself, are we prioritizing Brandon Clark on the slate with a lot of other plays in the mid-range opening up? Probably not. DeAnthony Melton, maybe value play. Should play about 20 minutes. But again, do we have to go there? I don't think we have to. And that's it for Brooklyn, Memphis. So let's move on to Utah, Milwaukee. We are over halfway, guys. Last one more time, if you enjoy this content, to hit that like button and subscribe. It helps me out a ton, and then we'll get to questions at the end. So first, I guess let's refresh if we are up to news or up to date. We are. All right, so Utah, Milwaukee. On the Utah side, Utah's a team I hate for DFS. So no one I have interest in. They're just too balanced. Even if Joe Ingles is out, I just don't have a ton of interest here. So, yeah, this is a team I will be fading. On the Milwaukee side, Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think, is one of the better spend-ups of the slate. I think he goes overlooked. This game should stay close. And in close games so far, he has played like 36 to 38 minutes. Now, last year, that was not a thing, right? Last year, he was playing somewhere between like 30 to 32 minutes in close games. That's just not happening. They're playing more in competitive games. So this game should stay competitive. I know the matchup's not necessarily the best, but still, like I'm not worried about anyone in Utah defensively. So Giannis, I think if this game stays close, and it should, plays 35 to 38 minutes, I think he's a really good spend up that people overlook because of the matchup. But I do have a good amount of interest there in Giannis. Middleton, Drew, secondary plays. Brolo, 4-6 is too scoring dependent for me. Bobby Portis has been getting extended a bit even in closer games. I think he plays somewhere around mid-20s minutes. An okay punt play, again, a higher usage guy. Not a priority, though, for me. Let's move on to Clippers and Golden State. So on the Clippers side, Kawhi, Paul George are decent options here in a good matchup. Got to keep an eye on Steph Curry news. I think he's still questionable. Probable now. Okay. Yeah, Steph is probable now. So a little more confidence this game stays close. I think Kawhi and Paul George go overlooked because both of them had like subpar games in a really good matchup. But these guys still have a good amount of upside for this matchup if it can stay close. So interesting contrarian plays here in Kawhi and Paul George. Don't mind them. The rest of the guys are stay away. There's too many guys healthy now in Batum and Marcus Morris, Lou Williams, Luke Kennard, Pat Beverly, and they're Baca, Zubac splitting the center minutes. It's just not a lot I like there on the Clippers. On the Golden State side, so Steph at the top at 10K. I like him for GPPs. He let a lot of people down the last slate. He has a good amount of upside if he's shooting the ball well. Can go for 60 plus. Obviously, we saw 75 there against Portland. It's not really the best matchup, but he's going to be pretty low owned. And whenever you can get like a low owned Steph Curry, gotta like that in GPP. So do like his upside. Ownership will be low after you let a lot of people down. With him, probable just takes out Wiggins and Oubre out of play for me. Draymond Green's at 5-1. I actually think he's an okay play here just because of the minutes. But 31 minutes the last game, that's good to see. So if we get over 30 from Draymond, I think he's a viable play in the mid range. Everyone else is stay away from me. Chicago and the Lakers, so Levine, Kobe White, I think look decent options. If you're playing either LeBron or Anthony Davis, I would probably run it back from those guards because if this game stays close, I would say at least one of LeBron or AD will smash in a great matchup. And if the game does stay close, it's going to be because of Levine and Kobe White. So another, game theory, right? Like I said with Jokic and, pairing Jokic and Luka together. Unfortunately, again, I went with the Minnesota-Portland stack, but I mentioned if you're playing Luka, I would probably play Jokic with him. This is the same thing. If you're playing AD or LeBron, I would run it back with Levine or Kobe White. Both these guys should play huge minutes if the game stays close, and they're going to be the reason why it does. If it does, 8-6 for Levine, 7-3 for White are still a little bit underpriced. Both are playing huge minutes, so I like both the guards for Chicago. I think they got overlooked. Obviously, there's some blowout risk. Otto Porter is to stay away from me there at 6'2", just not playing a ton of minutes. The value are stayaways too. Like Garrett Temple, I've seen some people talk about because he played over 30 minutes. I just don't know if we have to do it on the slate. And the Lakers side, so LeBron, AD, questionable. I fully expect them both to play. Probably would give the edge to AD just because I love targeting bigs against the Bulls. I think he could absolutely smash here, and I don't think he'll be super popular. So AD would be the guy if you made me pick. If for some reason one or both those guys are out, then obviously you want to look like Schroeder, Harold, Kuzma, like THT. These guys become really, really good plays. But I assume both LeBron and AD are playing. Let's finish up with Toronto-Sacramento. This is a game that originally I didn't have a ton of interest in, but now I do. So yeah, they don't have an update yet, but Kyle Lowry is out. So that is huge. That is really, really big news. Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam now look like two of the better plays in the mid-range. Bulls should have to do a lot more offensively. It's a fantastic matchup here against the Kings. So really like VanVleet, really like Siakam. You can make the argument for OG. I think Norman Powell will step in and play, start and play over 30 minutes. Again, he's a decent shooter, so he's a really solid value play. Maybe they insert a guy like Terrence Davis. Again, Terrence Davis is a good point per guy, so maybe a possible value play here in a guy like Terrence Davis. So got to keep an eye on this. But yeah, Toronto's a team that I like a lot now with that Lowry news. And let's finish up with Sacramento. So we're still waiting on De'Aaron Fox news. I don't think he plays because it's a hamstring injury. If he does miss, I think Halliburton looks like a really solid play there. 5'4", should play over 30 minutes. A guy can stuff the stat sheet. So I think he looks pretty solid. Hield, Holmes, Barnes, Bagley, secondary plays. You can make the argument as for a pivot with Corey Joseph to Halliburton, but I much prefer Halliburton. And then, yeah, Whiteside was possibly a play if Holmes is out, Holmes is in. So that's really it there for Sacramento, Toronto. And that's it for the slate. So let's refresh this really quick, and then we can get to some questions. Let's see. I should probably enter some contests as well. Cat is questionable, so he might play. On Saturday, that is. Let's see. Sorry, guys. I just want to make sure I actually enter stuff because a couple days ago I forgot to reserve stuff, and then it was only in that big tourney. So I just want to make sure I'm in my normal tournaments here. All right, so let's get to some questions. Baisley in play, yep. Yeah, I think you got to like the Toronto guys now. Guys, we're basically at 400 viewers, 70 likes. Can we get to 100 likes by the end of the show? Would really appreciate that. Thank you. Halliburton looks really solid. I think that Houston-Orlando game looks pretty good, right? I'm playing Poly. I think Powell will be Halliburton chalk. I think will be pretty popular. VanVleet's going to be very popular. He will be. I think so. He said now it's the boys can cash with Halliburton. Is Fox out? If Fox is out, Halliburton is in play. Yes. LeVert a must play. Wouldn't call him a must play because there's a lot of solid players now in the similar range, but I think he looks really, really good. Taco's a pretty big risk. He is. Like, we're not for sure he gets in the rotation. I would guess he does, and I would say about 15 minutes. Do you like value at center, Tice, Boogie, or pay up for Vooch? Depends, right? Depends on Wood. I don't think you would have to play Boogie Cousins if Wood is out, but I think he would be a pretty good option. Tice looks really solid, and I do like Vooch with Aaron Gordon now. The Magic are really, really thin, so I think Vooch looks like a really, really solid play if you can get to him. Especially if Fournier's out, too. LeVert is definitely, let's say, Russ is playing. Yep, exactly. Waller, VanVleet. I think it's got to be VanVleet. Tatum or Kawhi. I'll go Tatum there. You trust Cole Anthony? I think Cole Anthony is a really solid play. Should play over 30 minutes. Halliburton or Elf Payton? I'll go Halliburton at the moment. Fred VanVleet? Yeah, I think he looks really solid. Joe Harris. Joe Harris is a fine play. Wouldn't expect him to shoot that well again. Might be a little bit more popular because of the recency bias. Thoughts on playing Westbrook, Tatum, and Tice? Yeah, I think that's fine. Will Harden be good low-owned GPP play? I don't think I would play Harden. I just wouldn't play him. I'd rather take a shot on Giannis or Westbrook. Yeah. Baisley, I think Baisley is a decent play in the mid-range. Any love for Barrett or Payton? Would rather have Payton. I mean, Barrett's a little safer because of minutes. Not a ton of love. Imagine if Taco dropped. I mean, if I knew Taco Fall was going to play like 15 to 20 minutes, I might take a shot on him. James Ennis, possible value. Again, got to keep an eye on news. I think there's a chance he might start, maybe. So yeah, maybe some value there. Yeah, Westbrook will play. We expected that. Yeah, I don't expect Fox to play. It's a hamstring injury. Hamstrings are usually a little bit longer, right? It's not like an ankle or anything. Lonzo or LaMelo. I think I'd rather take a shot on LaMelo if I was going to play one. Ross or Baisley for GPP. If Fournier's out, I think I'll go Ross there. Thoughts on Bledsoe today? Not really on him. Any Chris Paul? No, thank you. You go back to your Barnes. Not against Toronto. No, Halliburton's the guy for me. George Hill, pass. I think he's fine. Terrence Davis, Van Fleet, Baisley, Tice, Bryant, Cole Anthony, LeVert, Vooch. Again, some of it is dependent on news. I think Terrence Davis is a little bit more viable. I think Norman Powell probably the guy I feel safer about. Melton okay for cash. I don't know if we have to. I think there's better value. Like, he'll play about 20 minutes. I think he's fine. Do you like Slow-Mo versus Brooklyn? No, don't like any of the Memphis guys. They're not playing a ton of minutes. Do you like Julius Randle? I think he's still in play. More of a contrarian option. Smart, Peyton, Van Fleet, Halliburton, Ingram, Harris, Siakam, Randall, Tice. I think that looks good. Brooke Lopez value, too score independent for me. Can you play Van Fleet, Powell, and Siakam? I think you can. It's a really good matchup, and we know the Toronto guys play big minutes. Would you prioritize Fred Van Fleet or one of Tatum or Brown? That's a good question. That's really close. I think I'll go Van Fleet, prioritizing him, but that's really close. No, I wouldn't play Wood. Yep, you can play all three of those guys. Siakam or Zion. That's so close. I love the matchup for Zion, too. I'll go Siakam, but that's really, really close. Whiteside no longer in play with Holmes playing. How about Bryant? Thomas Bryant? Nah, not for me. Holmes, I'll pass. Holmes is playing. Yep, exactly. Thoughts on Bane for value? No thanks. Barnes, I'll pass. Could I stack White, Levine, and AD? Yeah, you could. Right? If Chicago's going to stay competitive in that game, it's going to be those two guards. And if it does stay close and AD plays full minutes, I can give a really nice game against that Bulls front court. Yeah, I mean, you can play Harrison Barnes. I just don't think he stands out. Adams or Holmes? Not in love with either. I guess Holmes. I think he has a little more upside. And Adams is probably safer. Van Fleet, Halliburton, LeVert, Tillman. Was that Xavier Tillman? Which Tillman? Yeah. See, this is just you're getting too cute. You don't have to play. You don't have to play Tatum, or you don't have to play. You don't have to play Tillman. Don't play Tillman. Don't play Ibaka. Tillman, Ibaka, and Beal. I would take out of that cash game lineup. I mean, if he hits his shots, Graham might. He's still like, if he plays well, he will probably play over 35 minutes. So he's an okay buy low opportunity. He's just been shooting the ball terrible. Nah, I don't think I would go Mitch Rob with Noel playing. Chiozza only played 16 minutes. I would pass on Mitchell Robinson. Like, he's not a priority for me. I think there's better center plays. I think it's those three guards: Halliburton, Cole Anthony, and Powell. Again, some dependent on news. I would say LeVert, then Tatum, then Ingram. No. Well, I mean, Caruso would be viable if LeBron's out. I don't expect LeBron to be out, though. Blake Griffin, I'll pass. I think that's a good idea. I mean, the Raptors guys look real with no Kyle Lowry. Those guys look pretty good. You like Tice? I think Tice looks really solid. Best utility under 4,100. What Tice is 43. I would say probably. Let's see. Where is? Oh, Norman Powell's 3,900. Yeah, so I'll probably go Norman Powell there. Rivers or Anthony? Definitely Cole Anthony. Baisley, foul trouble risk a little, but I'm not super worried about it. No thank you on the Memphis guys, not playing enough minutes. Like the stream. Hey, thank you, man. Eric Gordon or Devontae Graham. I'd rather play Devontae Graham and hope he actually shoots well. Eric Gordon is just a guy I don't get to when both guards are healthy. Is Baisley cash viable? I think he is. But you got to ask yourself now, with a lot of these plays opening up, is he a must? I mean, I'm a big Darius Baisley fan. I think he's still a solid play. Is Tice good option tonight? Yes. Tice Cousins, yeah. If Cousins is solid, if Wood is out, obviously. Thoughts on Boucher? I don't know if like he gets extended a bit. I mean, he might because it's a guard out, so like I don't think it really affects him too much. Brad Stevens playing small ball. What would Brad Stevens say about small ball? Let's see. Brad Stevens said, "When without the three big men, it's when we are small, we are very small, needing leave extra bigs." Stevens went on to talk about needing to leave extra bigger wings on the floor at all times when Celtics are down big men. Yeah, so they might go smaller. So that obviously concerns me about Taco Fall then. Thoughts on Biyombo? No thanks. Curry and Powell or Hayward and Peyton. Curry and Powell. Siakam or Randall. I mean, for the price right now, I think I'd rather have Siakam for the discount. Barley or Horford? Do you mean Baisley or Horford? I think I'd rather have Baisley. SGA or Book? SGA. Favorite three spend-ups? I mean, at the top, you got to make some tough calls here, but I think Giannis, I think Westbrook, I think those Lakers guys look pretty good. Steph is a contrarian play. I mean, Vooch, if you consider him a spend-up. Orlando's pretty thin. Baisley or Horford, yeah, so I'd say Baisley. Is Jordan in play? DeAndre Jordan? I don't think we have to do it. Birch or Tice? Definitely Tice for me. I mean, Birch is more viable, but yeah. TLC or THT? Don't love either tonight. It kind of depends on the news for the Lakers. If both AD and LeBron are in, it's a secondary play, so I guess TLC, but I don't love it. Cash lineup is Fred VanVleet, Cole Anthony, Powell, Zion, Vooch, Austin Rivers, LeVert, Tice. Don't mind it. I think it looks pretty solid. What about Diallo? Don't think we have to go there. Tatum or Brown? I'd rather have Tatum if you made me pick. Switched out my took Beal back and Tillman out and put in Vucevic, Powell, and Graham. Okay, I think that's fine. Graham is the one. I mean, if he struggles, they will go to Melo Ball, but I think he's at a fair enough price. We can go there. Siakam, VanVleet, and Powell. Yeah, you can definitely play all three. Thoughts on Semi Ojeleye? They might run him some small ball five. They might. So like he's viable. Thomas Bryant or Jarrett Allen? That's a good question. I'll go Jarrett Allen. Best point guard, 7,300 or below. Point guard, 7,300 or below. Yeah, see, I don't love this range. I think I would take the shot on Kobe White. I know it's not the best matchup, but if they're going to stay competitive, it's because of Kobe White. So I like Kobe White for GPPs. I would go him. DeAnthony Melton in play. Yeah, he's in play. He probably gets 20-ish minutes. Quickly in play. I think that's getting too cute. You can go to Jarrett Allen. You can. And he's a decent point per minute guy. Halliburton or Joe Harris? I'd rather have Halliburton. Rivers or Teague? I think I'd rather have Jeff Teague. I think I'd rather have like 20 to 25 minutes of Teague rather than 30 minutes of Rivers, for me personally. Thoughts on OG? OG does get a slight boost. So yeah, he's more viable. OG or PJ? Might go OG now with that news. I mean, it's close. OG should play some big minutes. PJ should as well. Might give the edge to OG now. Again, he's definitely more viable with Lowry out. Brad Beal thoughts? I'm not going to go there. I think people might chase. Harrison Barnes, seems priced right. Is Ingram worth it? I like him and Zion tonight. Svi, no thanks. Okay, if you want to go Barnes, that's fine. Again, I'm not going to talk you off him. I think he's a decent play, but not a priority. Blake Griffin just doesn't seem motivated. Let's see. Jason Tatum I think Jason Tatum looks a really good play in that matchup. Anunoby, pivot off Paul. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty high on the Raptors. Siakam a lock, not a lock, but I think getting exposure to some of those Toronto guys is a good idea. Love the stream. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Guys, we're closing in on 450 viewers, 99 likes. I appreciate all the support. I'll stay on for another 5 or so minutes here to answer any more questions. Again, I hope you guys enjoy kind of the fast-paced stream. Obviously, I'm not messing around. Get right to it and get right to all the questions. Is Halliburton a must-play? Wouldn't call him a must-play because there's a lot of solid plays in the mid-range, but I think he looks pretty good. Portis or Tice? Would you rather play Biyombo or Boucher? I would rather take – I mean, Biyombo's probably safer, but Boucher has more upside if the minutes go there. So if you're going to shoot him for the upside, it's Boucher. Bertans, I don't think we have to do it. Scary Terry or Baisley? I'd rather have Baisley. Gordon going to smash tonight? Which Gordon? Because Aaron Gordon's out. Talking about Gordon Hayward or Eric Gordon? I'm not in love with either, to be honest. Fave cash play. Wood is in. Okay, yeah, Wood's in. So don't really love, or I think Boogie's out of play. Yeah, Fave cash play. I would say probably one of those Raptors guys right now. Sadiq Bey thoughts. Don't think we have to go there. Tyson Taco in one lineup. So Taco's a little risky, right? It's just they said they were going to go smaller. I mean, I still think he plays, but you never know. I think Semi can play the 5. Wood is in. Go Blue, baby. Why do we sign Harbaugh? Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Vooch or Tatum for cash? That's a really close one. Vooch or Tatum. I really like both. I'll go Vooch, but that is like so close. Draymond tonight, viable. Flynn, I got to see the Toronto starting lineup. Let's refresh this. And I'll get to a couple more questions here, and then we can get out of here. Wizards, okay, there. Yeah, Christian Wood in. Same starters there for Charlotte. All right. 2 more Mets guys. Let's see. Kobe. I think Kobe. Yeah. So White or Van Fleet. Stuffy Van Fleet is safer. But I mean, those Chicago guards, like if that game stays close, it's going to be because of them. Cole Anthony or Halliburton. I like both a lot. Cole because of the matchup, but I like both those guys a lot. Peyton or Cole. Cole, Horford season. I think Horford is underpriced. You like Giannis tonight? I do. I think he goes under-owned. Smart, Peyton, LeVert, Brown, Middleton, Harris, Randall, Tice. I mean, it's a little bit contrarian. Don't hate it. Middleton's not really a guy I'm on. Halliburton and Prince or Cole Anthony and TLC. Splitting hairs there because it's the 2 guards I like with 2 of those Brooklyn Valley guys that are just like hard to trust. So I guess the second one, as an MSU fan, I love, yeah. Westbrook or Giannis? Giannis, if I had to pick, but I like both a good amount. Yeah, I'll pass on. I mean, you can go to that narrative. You can buy into the Lonzo LaMelo narrative. Who between Brown and Tatum? I'd rather have Tatum. When they're priced about the same, I always give that to Tatum. Just think he has a little bit of a higher floor. Karras, Tatum, Anthony, and Fred VanVleet core. Favorite Nets value? I don't really have one, to be honest. I don't. Like, it's LeVert at the top, and then it's like you got TLC, you got Bruce Brown, you have Jeff Green, you have Taurean Prince. They're going to play somewhere between like 20 to 28 minutes, all those guys. So it's like you could take a shot on one. Bruce Brown burned me. So I don't have a strong take there. Yeah, I think Giannis will be low round because of the matchup, but I think if the game stays close, he should play 35 plus minutes. All about you. Appreciate that, man. Horford or Rui? I'd rather have Horford. Is Halliburton starting? We're still waiting on the news. Stars and scrubs to play. I mean, right? I don't know. There's a decent amount of plays in like the 4, 5, 6K range. Harrison Barnes. I think Barnes is fine, not a priority. Ross is a good GPP play, Terrence Ross, especially if Evan Fournier is out. He will have to shoot the ball a ton. Best value at the 2 guard, I would say either Halliburton or Cole Anthony right now, or Norman Powell. Christian Wood starting tonight. Yeah, so it takes Boogie out of play. Not super interested in Wood, rather have Vooch on the opposite side. Nwaba playable. I wouldn't play Nwaba. Ross letting it go. Yeah, Ross should shoot the ball a ton tonight. He should. Terrence Ross it is. All right, let's refresh this one more time, guys, and then I can get out of here. I'll stay on for 2 more questions. All right, we are good. I appreciate all the support. And, yeah, let's close out this week strong. Hope for no blowouts, no injuries, none of that stuff. That would be great if we can avoid that for once. All right. Good luck tonight. Thanks, guys. Best center under 5,300. Yeah, so last question here. Best center under 5,300. I would have said Horford, but he's 54. I think Draymond is probably safest option. Should play over 30 minutes. Don't love it, but I think I would go that direction. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a stream, so I appreciate all support. Have a good Friday. As always, keep an eye on the news. Do not, leave your phone somewhere. You got to keep an eye on the news. And good luck, and I hope everyone has a great night. I'll be back Saturday. We got football. We got basketball tomorrow. Big day. So good luck to everyone tonight, and I will see you guys all tomorrow.